distracted, so nervous. I think she thought our little heart-to-heart was going to turn into a hand-to-hand. Don't matter. Don't matter. One thing Diana ain't afraid of is a fist fight. Now, she might get her ass whooped all up and down the Woolworth, but she'll fight you back. Okay, y'all, as you know, Saturdays is all me and Lou. So if you hear some snorting or grunting or snoring in the background, you know it's my baby or our baby, because Lou now belongs to all of us over here at the book club, because we all love the dog. Lulu, watch this. Lulu, you want to say hello, baby? The fights I remember most, though, were with the Supremes. Actually, they were only with the Supremes, Diana Ross. Before we went on stage, she used to come in our dressing room to see what we were wearing. I guess she sent somebody out to buy the Supremes the same outfits, because the next thing I knew, Florence Ballard, Mary Wilson, and Miss Thing were on stage wearing our drag. It took me a little while to get hip to what was going on, but about the third time it happened, I figured out it wasn't just by chance. It got to be a real problem too. Who in the hell is surprised? Ain't nobody surprised. I mean, Patti LaBelle talked about this situation several times. She commonly talks about the disdain she had towards Diana Ross. But Patti LaBelle, you got to stand in line. It's a whole bunch of ladies that want to knock the wig off of Diana Ross, like Smokey Robinson's wife. What's his name? Eddie, the dude Eddie from the Temptations. I don't know why I can't remember his last name. His wife want to knock the wig off her ass. Mary Wilson wanted to knock the wig off her ass, but Mary Wilson, I don't know. That bitch didn't stand up. She needed to stand up to that hoe. Look, hoe. But then again, like I always say, don't be mad at Diana Ross for sucking the right dick. Don't be mad at Diana Ross for laying down with the right men and getting to the money. You bitches do it all the time. Y'all just don't get nothing but a bag of weed. Don't be mad at her, because she knew how to use her vagina properly. Okay, don't be mad at my Diana. Diana Ross be getting record deals, Grammys, movies, biracial babies. She done successfully turned her entire family white. Her and Every Jackson from the original Jackson 5. I know Tito family entirely white now. And I loves me some Tito, but I'm just being honest with y'all. But don't be mad at her, okay? Cause she knew what the hell she was doing. And you bitches don't be getting what she get. What Patti LaBelle said was that they didn't have any money. They was getting their clothes from the Woolworth. Ooh, remember? Woolworth, y'all. My grandmother used to take me there to get a breakfast. Man, me and my maternal grandmother was like this. You hear me? Because my mom was her baby girl, okay? And, my mom had me at 15. So, my grandmother was like, let me help this girl. All right. She used to take me around there to the Woolworth on 14th Street, either before or after we went to church, and we would eat our little lunch there. That was something so special to her. And as I get older, I understand why. You enjoy it. Like I enjoy just going to the Waffle House and being able to sit there, knowing that there was a time that us niggas couldn't do it. She's like, we didn't have the budget that the Supremes had. We had to get our outfits from Woolworths. But what Diana Ross would do, because they were going on before them, Diana Ross and the Supremes would get a copy of their outfits. And she like, wait a minute, we don't have no money. Don't be copying our outfits. We put our little pennies together, go around there to the Woolworth and buy us a whole outfit. If Woolworth wasn't the Bradleys, if Bradley's wasn't the Zell, If Zell wasn't a Kmart, even though Kmart's still around, but if Kmart ain't been crushed by the Target, the few outfits we did have came from Learners or Woolworths. And even they took all our little money. To straighten the whole thing out, I tried to talk Bobby Schiffman into putting us on ahead of the Supremes. I sure didn't want people thinking we copied them. But when switching the program around didn't work, I decided to have a little talk with Diana. I was so mad I could hardly see straight. Diana knew it too. She was acting so nervous. I think she thought our little heart-to-heart was going to turn into a hand-to-hand. Don't matter. One thing Diana ain't afraid of is a fucking fist fight. Now, she might get her ass whooped all up and down the Woolworth, but she'll fight you back. It didn't, but I told her straight out, if she was smart, she wouldn't show her face in our dressing room again. As it turned out, the Supremes, or the suits behind the Supremes, raided the Bluebells for something I love far more than any outfit. Something that would never be replaced. I knew something wasn't right the minute Mr. Montague got the call from Cindy. We had a club date in New York in a few hours, and she said she wasn't going to make it. She wouldn't say why. All she would say is that she wasn't sick and we shouldn't worry about her. But worry was all I could do. The only time Cindy had ever missed a show was the year her father died, and she went home to handle the arrangements and grieve for him. But then everything had been worked out in advance until Cindy returned. Sandra Tucker, the singer Cindy had replaced in the Ordettes, came back and filled in for her. I didn't know that. But this was different. This was strange. Something was definitely wrong. I wouldn't know just how wrong things were until I got the news from the press. Cindy had left us for the Supremes. Berry Gordy, the legendary head of Motown, had sent one of his lieutenants to recruit her to replace Florence Ballard when Flo's drinking became a problem and the friction between Flo and Diana came to a head. So pause. From reading other books, we know that Diana Ross had been wooing Cindy for a while. Diana would catch Cindy by herself in the dressing room and look at her and put her hand under her chin and be like, look at you, you're so pretty. Let me apply your makeup for you today. And do her makeup on real nice. Wear your wig like this. Diana had been wooing that damn Cindy Birdsong for a while. And on top of that, remember, they chose Cindy because Cindy not only was shaped like Florence, but was light-skinned and from afar could look like Florence. They plotted on her. As I found out from Cindy only recently in preparing this book, the folks at Motown went all out to woo her. They wanted her for a lot of reasons. They loved her voice, but they also loved the way she looked like Flo. The night before our show, they flew her to Detroit, promising they would get her back to New York in time to make our engagement. Once in Detroit, she met with Berry Gordy, and the pressure was on. Motown needed her, and the Supremes were the hottest girl group of all time. Okay? They had a string of #1 hits that no one could match, and they were on TV as much as the record charts. She had to make a decision. It was now or never. She chose the Supremes. Flo was out, Cindy was in, and we were left behind. Sarah Nona and I were the last to get the word. It felt like someone had put a knife in my heart. No, it was more like a knife in my back. It was bad enough that Cindy abandoned us. What turned the knife over and over was that she never even told us. Well, shit, they didn't tell Flo. Flo found out when she got there. When they was having that little meeting, remember? I forgot all the baby. When they was having that little meeting, Berry Gordy was like, come on over, we need to talk to you. Flo knew something was about to happen. And she brung her mother with her, I guess, to help support her. Flo, it don't matter whether you bring your whole family with you. They was putting you out because you wasn't playing the game the way Berry Gordy and Diana Ross said you needed to play it. And on her way out the door, she saw Cindy Birdsong in the kitchen. Ain't this after 6 years of sharing everything, our dreams, our secrets, our sardines, our makeshift beds on Chubby's living room floor, she just up and walked away. She did what she felt was best for her at the time, I guess. At first I was hurt, but then I got pissed. In interviews, whenever people asked me about her, Priscilla answered, Cindy who? Cindy who? I said a lot of mean and ugly things I regret. But I just wanted to forget her. Remembering was too painful. Cindy's defection had another effect on me. It made me feel even closer to Sarah and Nona. We were all we had left, and we circled the wagons. Cindy appeared on stage as Supreme for the first time in July of 1967. And from that day forward, the Bluebells were a trio. As the saying goes, the show must go on. The show must go on. Now dig this. I always wondered why they didn't replace Cindy. Come on, baby. I always wondered why they didn't replace Cindy. Because remember in the beginning of the book, Patti said she felt most comfortable with the four of them. Okay, but her heart was broken. Okay, and I see why. I'm not going to trust nobody else. About a year later, when we were performing in LA, Cindy came to our hotel room and apologized. Well, because this is when she found out that the Diana Ross gooped her. Come on, Cindy, come on. Don't you want to sing with me and Mary? About a year later, when we were performing in LA, Cindy came to our hotel room and apologized. I knew she meant it, but it would be many more years before I could really forgive her. I was polite, but that's all. It took me a lot of years to see that I was hurting myself as much. It took me a lot of years to see that I was hurting myself as much as I was hurting Cindy. Probably more. I know now that in leaving the Bluebells, she was only making a move she thought, okay, would improve her life. Answer freaking no. They gooped you, girl. But I know something even more important about myself. Holding on to anger and resentment is a waste of time and energy. It blinds you to the beauty and joy in your life. It's like putting a vice in your heart, surrounding it, squeezing it, stopping the flow of love, blocking your blessings. Think about it. How can you enjoy the present if you keep reliving the past? Word. I'm happy that Cindy and I eventually reconnected. She didn't say reconciled, she said reconnected. Okay. The 3 years after Cindy left the group were good ones for me personally. I met the woman who would become my closest friend and married the man who would become my rock. But professionally, those years were rough, to put it mildly. The Bluebells were stuck in neutral, and we were going nowhere fast. Though Sarah, Nona, and I recorded 6 more singles for Atlantic, not one of them charted. In fact, we never again had a hit record as the Bluebells. Though we weren't selling records, at least we were working. It all started one afternoon when Sarah, Nona, and I were shopping in some exclusive New York department store. I don't remember which one, but it was on 5th Avenue. Shopping is probably not the right word for it, since not a single one of us could afford so much as a pair of stockings in the place. We were playing the Apollo that week, and all I wanted to do was look at the fabulous clothes and dream a little. I had been browsing for about 10 minutes when nature called. I saw a sister working on the floor and tapped her on the shoulder to ask directions to the closest ladies' room. "You're Patti LaBelle," she screamed. "I just saw you at the Apollo." "Yeah, well, that's great," I said, "but I really have to pee." So pause, let me say this. As I see myself getting older, I'm becoming less tolerant with people. And I find myself having to apologize, because what I will do is apologize. Because when you get to a certain age, you think you can say anything. And as a YouTuber, and I have to tell this to the people that I work with all the time, you say whatever you feel, because on YouTube, I get paid to say what I feel. You guys tune into me because pretty much what I express at this age, at this point in my life, in this skin, in this body, in this gaydom, in this marriage, in all my trials and tribulations, you're here because I encompass what you all resonate with. My little sister told me it's called trauma bonding. But I find Patti LaBelle to have been that person from the very beginning, where she wasn't really given a filter or wasn't really taught to filter. And that's synonymous with a lot of baby girls and baby boys, because by the time they come along, the parents be tired and they just leave it to the eldest child to take care of them. And you know, the eldest, we don't give a hell. I don't care, girl. I don't care what you do, okay? Just have your black ass in the house when I tell you to come in the damn house. Her name was Norma Harris. And from the moment we met, the two of us clicked. I can't explain it. Felt like I had known Norma my whole life. That's the way I felt about my cancer Judies, Michelle and Candace. Not BFF, because I've come across so many cancers in my life, but I have a cancer Judy that I love, and I will always love her. But I had to put her on pause because sometimes you cancers, your emotions can be overwhelming, and I just can't handle it. She and I clicked immediately at UDC, and me and Candace clicked immediately when I was at Theodore Roosevelt. I can't explain it, but it felt like I had known Norma my whole life. She offered to let me use her employee discount to buy a dress I had been eyeing. "Honey, even with your discount, I can't afford the zipper on that dress," I told her. "The Bluebells shop at Woolworth's, and lately we can't even afford that." On her days off, Norma told me she moonlighted as a hairdresser, and she offered to do the Bluebells wigs whenever we were in New York. By the time I left the store, we were tight girlfriends, and we have been ever since. It is Norma, in fact, who created all my outrageous 80s hairdos, from the bucket to the fan to the broom. I invited Norma to our show, and when she came backstage a few days later, she was bearing gifts. "Here," she said, handing me a shopping bag, a surprise for the Bluebells. And what a surprise it was. Inside the shopping bag were the most beautiful designer dresses I have ever seen. It was like looking in Vivian's trunk. Only now there were 3 of everything. 1 for Sir, 1 for Nona, and 1 for me. They were the dresses I had been looking at the day Norma and I met. But however good her intentions, I also know she shouldn't have taken those clothes, and we shouldn't have accepted them. Let me be real clear here. I am not about to make an excuse for what we did. There isn't one, but I can offer an explanation.
Taking a ride on the east side, made a left on MLK. What a beautiful day, what a beautiful day. Riding high on the west side, looking for a hood rat to play. Won't you come out and play? Won't you come out and play? Hey, taking a ride. Hey, hey, on the south side. Ooh, ooh. Hey, hey, hey.